Was the occasion where world leaders were discussing about how the world is changing, especially in the terms of the climate change. During the address today, the professor of Columbia University, Mr. Jeffrey Jack, highlighted that we are not here to warn about the future. We are here to understand that how the things are going worse and worse.
To ask where we are. Of course, where we are in the most basic sense is in a much deeper crisis today than we were in 2001. The Earth has continued to warm at a rate of about 0.2 degrees Celsius per decade. So we are about 0.4 degrees C warmer than we were 20 years ago. When we came together in 2001, and I remember all of the early years, we were warning about what the future would be more than saying we're already feeling the consequences. But now we're not warning about the future. We're in the midst of droughts, floods, heat waves, powerful storms, rising sea levels. Everything that was projected is happening. And it's absolutely dramatic.
He also discussed on a different way that how America is also polarizing the efforts and the policies, the decisions and all in the world, and which is really dangerous for any part of the world.
It thinks it dominates. It's crazy. But really, they think that they run the rules-based system of the world. We're in the end throes of that right now, but it's extremely dangerous. The reason we have a war in Ukraine is because the US wanted to push its military alliance into the Black Sea region. Nothing more, nothing less. This has been clear collision course since 1992, but especially since 2008, when a Ukrainian president objected to this, said we want neutrality. The US helped to overthrow them. In 2014, that's when the war broke out, not last year, but 9 years ago. So these are antiquated, anachronistic fights, extremely dangerous because crazily our politics lives on this right now inside the United States. But the public doesn't hear almost anything to the contrary because the media don't report anything to the contrary. And the rest of the world is watching this spectacle. How bizarre it is, frankly.
Vice President of Guyana, Mr. Bharat Jagdeo, who spoke largely on the forest and his action measures taken in his country. Lots of issues are there to handle, but majorly what is the priority, that is the issue that we have to understand.
So I'm going to focus a bit on forests. And the reason I'm doing this is that we've never achieved net zero or 1.5 degree without bringing forests as part of a mitigation solution. Forest deforestation alone would cause about 18% or 15% of global greenhouse gases. So if you look at the largest emitters, if forests were a country, and this point has been made several times before, it would be the United States of America, China, and then forests as the third largest country if forests were a country. So clearly it's important that we find solution for this nature-based problem, deforestation.
Consular to the Prime Minister of Romania, Mr. Laszlo Boblé, also emphasized how the situation is changing. He also emphasized that how the community network, education, and civil societies can play the big role in saving this kind of situation. Mr. Laszlo Boblé also emphasized on the network, community network, education, as well as the civil society's role in propagating and making people aware to take their stand in saving the planet.
Civil society, you will fail. So we have more than 120 bodies in this coalition of civil society. So we put in place, and of course we have to prepare our budgets based on sustainable investments. And it will be the first year for Romania to have this kind of budget, I hope. It depends on politicians also, of course. What is the most important in this picture of sustainability? The human being and education. And that's why we have a new job in Romania, expert in sustainable development, and we will train 2,000 experts until 2026. We have a financial background from our recovery plan. It's important because we need a network. What Jeffrey Sachs say more time about network. We need network. We need people around us who understand what is sustainability and they put in place.
Union Minister of Environment Bhupender Yadav also emphasized how the India is taking big effort in saving the climate. He also gave the examples of several measures taken by the government of India.
I am very happy that our COP28 designated president is here. Let me elaborate on that by first sharing of a good news with you all that the second batch of cheetah from South Africa was successfully introduced in Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh just 4 days ago on 18th February 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, combating climate change, biodiversity loss, and land degradation transcend all political boundaries and hence a shared global challenge. Our multiple occasions, both at domestic and international stage, through evidence-based policy making and implementation, India has demonstrated that it has never been a part of problem, but it's contributing significantly to become a part of solution.
Today, a special envoy on climate change and President-designate of COP28 from UAE, Sultan Al Jaber, was here to address the gathering. He emphasized the necessity and the importance of this situation in handling very carefully. He emphasized on the partnership rather than the polarization. He was advocating about the climate finance to be more affordable and accessible.
India's sustainable development is critical, not just for India, but for the whole world. At COP28, transforming our food and water systems will be given the same attention as transitioning our energy and industrial systems. We need to advance on all fronts and at the same time. On adaptation, COP28 must conclude the global goal on adaptation and finalize agreement around doubling adaptation finance. And as a nation, and as the COP28 presidency, we share India's firm belief that safeguarding and respecting nature is a fundamental obligation. Ladies and gentlemen, the step change and the progress we need will require lots of capital. And that is not just billions. We need trillions. And we must make sure that this capital is available, and if it's available, it must be accessible, and if it is accessible, it must be affordable to those who need it. An opportunity to create millions of jobs and invent new sectors, create new businesses and industries. In fact, it will create the greatest leap in human development and prosperity since the first industrial revolution. Let's ensure that progress is truly inclusive and that no one is left behind. Let's keep 1.5 alive while putting an end to energy and water poverty. Let's unite around climate action that carries humanity forward, and let's prove that you can be pro-climate and pro-growth at the same time. In the months to come, myself and the COP28 team will continue to listen, consult, and engage with everyone spanning from civil society, NGOs, indigenous people, the private sector, governments, women, and youth. Let's unite everyone around a COP of action, a COP for all, a COP of solidarity and unity. Let's remember that the world makes progress through partnership, not through polarization.
At last, not the least, Norwegian ambassador also suggested several and emphasized on several issues. Today it was a full packed wide range of topics, but the question still arises how this will happen on the ground. We'll take you to the different talks and discourse with the different experts and the players very soon with WNN and Sadbhavana today.